Hey YouTube, my name is Nick, and in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to remotely access your files on your micro SD card in your Flippy Drive. And so I just want to get this out of the way, but this tutorial will not be showing you how to actually set up the Flippy Drive in terms of connecting it to your GameCube. This guide will assume that you've already done that. So to begin, in order to do this, first you need to lift off, well, you need to take off the 4 screws that are on the 4 corners on the underside of the GameCube, but I already did that, so I just have to pull up. And what you want to do is you need to just rotate your GameCube so that the Flippy Drive is facing towards you, and just take out the micro SD card like this. And you'll need to insert into your computer. What we're going to be doing is we are going to have to modify the config.ini file on the micro SD card. And if you don't know what that is, then don't worry about it. I'll show you how to generate a new one if you're starting from scratch. And hopefully this will be the last time that you will have to take your GameCube apart to access the files on the Flippy Drive. So once you're at your computer, go ahead and plug in your micro SD card to your PC in whatever way you do that in, whether it be an adapter or whether it's built into your computer itself. And so before we begin, I just want to quickly describe how exactly this works, because it's not traditional FTP in how you normally think of it. So let me explain. So the way how the remote access of the Flippy Drive's SD card works, or the micro SD card works, is it doesn't work in the traditional sense of FTP. So normally when you connect to, let's say, a Wii U, a PS3, Xbox 360, original Xbox, all those consoles, they basically give you an IP address to connect to. Well, with the way how the Flippy Drive developers set this feature up, is that the GameCube itself doesn't really host an IP, and what you do instead is you have to connect your Flippy Drive to the computer that runs the Flippy app. But before you do that, you have to actually first generate a config file. So I'm going to quickly show you how to do that. You should have one in the root of your SD card already, but if you do not, what you want to do is you want to navigate to this page, which I'll leave linked in the description. And what you want to do is, see all this text here? You can select it all by clicking and dragging, or you can click these 2 little boxes, which will copy all this text to your clipboard. So if we minimize that, I'm going to generate a new config file just by going right-click on the desktop, new text document. And so we're going to call it config, and then after the dot, we're going to rename the text to .ini. Windows will ask if you wish to change the file extension. I'm going to say yes. And now what you're going to do is you have to right-click the config.ini file like this and edit it with some kind of a text editing software. I use Notepad++, but even regular Notepad will work fine. But I like Notepad++ because it breaks up the text better. And so when you hit Ctrl-V on your keyboard, it will paste all the information that was shown on that web page. So I'm not going to go over what all of these features do again, because I kind of already described what these do, kind of roughly speaking, in one of my previous videos. But basically, what you want to do is, oh wow, they changed this a little bit since I last attempted to make this video. Anyway, so what we care about for the purposes of this video are these 3 settings here. So first of all, there's this one here that says SSID, and I skipped over this one for a moment just to explain these 2 first, because these are easier. But SSID, basically it's just a fancy way of saying what is the name of your Wi-Fi network. So whenever you connect your other devices to your home internet, that is the name of your Wi-Fi network. So this says here, My Awesome Network. You have to obviously replace this with the name of your Wi-Fi network. So insert Wi-Fi name here, and then you type in whatever your Wi-Fi network name is. That's not the name of my Wi-Fi network, by the way. That's just to show you that you have to replace it with something. So that's the name of your Wi-Fi. And then here, password. If you're following along, you might already know. This is where you type in the password to your Wi-Fi network, the one that you use whenever you connect your devices to your router. So go ahead and type your password. Obviously, my Wi-Fi network has a better password than just password. But anyway, you get the idea. Password here, whatever. So these are the easy parts of the config.ini file. So once that is done, the server, you might be wondering, so if the GameCube doesn't give you the IP address you need, then what is the server IP address? Well, that's actually quite simple. So the next thing we want to do, so you can save this document if you're generating a new one, or again, you should be editing the one that's on your micro SD card. And yeah, if you don't have one, then you can just copy this over. But I'm going to minimize this for a moment. And what we need now is the Flippy Drive Flippy app, which you can get from the Flippy Drive Assets GitHub repo. And you download the latest one, which is 1.46 at the time of making this video. And you want to ignore these CLI apps. They're not important. All you need are one of these. And depending on the system you're using, you want to download the correct one. So in my case, I'm going to download the Windows version. I'm not sure if Darwin is Mac OS, but there's Linux as well. But I'm going to download Windows. So I'm just going to save this to my desktop so that I can easily find it. And you can see it's right here. I'm going to right click and extract it to its own folder. So now it is in here. We're going to double click this. And before we double click the app, we're just going to quickly make a new folder. It actually doesn't matter what you call this, but I'll just call it games, just to keep things simple. And so now you want to go ahead and double click the Flippy app. It's going to say Windows protected your PC. Just click more info and then run anyway, and then this should start up. Yours might not say server started here. What you want to do is you have to set the games path. So just select folder, go to your desktop if you're following along with what I did, go to the Flippy app folder and then select games. And again, it doesn't matter what you call it. Then it should say server started. So here's the important part. So this is your IPv4 address of the computer you are currently using. And this is what goes under the server setting here in the config.ini file. So you want to type in this IP address here, except for the :7031. Do not write :7031. I think it's kind of confusing that they wrote here port is 7031 because it leads you to believe that you have to do this IP address :7031. If you put :7031 into the config.ini file, it will not work. So do not include that in the config.ini file. So just put your IP address here, the one that is shown right here, just before the colon. So once that is done, you can save your config.ini file. I'm not going to save it because I already have mine here set up. And that's basically it for getting your micro SD card ready. Now that you're ready, do not close the Flippy Drive app. Keep this open. So once you've saved your config.ini to the root of your micro SD card, you can now eject your micro SD card. And don't worry about the Swiss folder that was there. That was just something I already had. So to reinsert the micro SD card, have the pins face towards you, and then carefully push it into the slot until you hear it click. And then all you have to do is put the lid back on. But do not put the screws back until you ensure that this part works. So after you inserted your micro SD card back into the Flippy Drive, power on your Gamecube and hold the X button until you see the Flippy Drive bootloader like this. And what you want to do is you want to select boot onboard DOL and press A, and then hit remote. And if you've done everything correctly and typed in the IP address that was shown in the Flippy app, it should say network is connected, and then press A. And what you want to do is you want to leave your Gamecube on this screen and do not touch it. And the next step is to go back over to your PC. So when you come back to your PC, or if you just look over at it, if it's within arm's reach or whatever, you will notice that it says client disconnected. You can ignore this. The IP that shows up here is the IPv4 of the Flippy Drive itself. So this is basically the Gamecube right here. You can just ignore the fact that it says client disconnected. You should, however, see this window pop up. And what you want to do is just leave this window open. Do not click any buttons. This IP will be very important though, because now we're going to get into how you actually remote into the Flippy Drive itself. So what you want to do right now is you want to download whatever your favorite file transfer protocol software is, FTP. And so for this video, I'm going to use FileZilla, which I already have installed. But basically, you want to just open the site manager by clicking this little server button here. And you want to make a new site. Actually, I'm going to do that. I'm going to delete this one just to start over. We're going to make a new site, call it Flippy Drive. And here's all the settings you want to enter. So first of all, you want to enter for the IP address or the host. It should say 127.0.0.1 with port, it says right there, 7021. Okay. Next, change this to encryption. Change it to only use plain FTP. Logon type normal, or you can set it to... Yeah, we'll just set it to normal. Type anonymous, like so. Don't enter a password. Let's see. Check this box and set this to 1, which it should be by default. And do not touch anything else. So once you have all that set up, hit OK. And now click these little boxes again. Click connect. And now you should see all your files here. So here, let me explain quickly why this video was delayed for so long. And that's because when I saw client disconnected, I thought there was some kind of issue or glitch going on here with FileZilla or something. But let me explain what you can and cannot do. So you can copy individual files over to the Flippy Drive no problem, and it will work. But what you cannot do is, for example, so I have the Game Boy interface right here in its own folder. And let's say I wanted to copy over this entire folder. If you copy the folder to this micro SD card here on this side, it will basically make the GameCube count up infinitely, and it's never going to copy over the file, and you'll get failed transfers here in FileZilla. So you cannot do that. You cannot copy over folders, but you can copy over individual files. Furthermore, you also cannot create new folders on the micro SD card, because at the moment it basically does the same thing. It just glitches out, breaks, and you have to relaunch the Flippy Drive app and restart your GameCube and do the whole process all over again. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy, for example, the gbi.dol file. I'm going to copy it to the root of my micro SD card. And you can see that it has succeeded. It did not give me a failed transfer, and it just worked. So that was the problem that I was having when creating this video before. I did not know that you're not allowed to copy over entire folders. You are allowed to make folders on the micro SD card before you FTP into it, and then you can put files into specific folders, but you cannot generate brand new folders from your desktop. It just breaks the FTP connection entirely. And so yeah, the reason why this isn't normal FTP, just to reiterate, is because it relies on the fact that you have to use the machine that is running the Flippy Drive app. Because if it were real FTP, the GameCube would be the host, and you could connect into your GameCube using anything, like a cell phone. So, because I've heard of some theories, or some, not theories, but I heard of some ideas where people FTP into their devices with their phones and stuff. Well, that is not possible here. You can only FTP into the Flippy Drive if you have a Windows or Linux machine, or whatever that Darwin thing was. Anyway, so that's the point. And so, just to show you that it worked, I'm going to swap back over to my GameCube, and I'm going to show you that the GBI now shows up in QBoot. So I'm just going to show you, because my GameCube is in bypass mode, I have to go to boot onboard DOL. I'm going to ignore GBI up here because I made a shortcut in a previous video. I'm just going to go to QBoot. And as you can see, when I'm on the QBoot loader, there is the gbi.dol, which obviously if I launch it, it will work. And the only reason why I'm getting an error saying Game Boy player not detected is because I do not have my Game Boy player currently attached. But otherwise, yes, it would completely work. And so there you go. You can just copy your games over to your root or whichever folder. But again, you cannot create any new folders on the Flippy Drive from your computer. If you do that, it will fail. So that's pretty much the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching. Oh, and last thing, don't forget to put your GameCube back together. So put the 4 screws back in, reattach your Game Boy player, and you're basically all set. You probably never have to take apart your GameCube again to load files onto it. With the exception of making folders, I guess, unless if you can do that in Swiss, but I'm not sure. Anyway, as I was saying, that's pretty much the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time.